The world's wealthiest people were gathered in a glittering mansion, and while laughter was abundant, not all of it was good. Standing in the middle of that elegant group was a black woman who had overcome all obstacles to become one of the most influential businesswomen in the world. She received an invitation as a guest of honor, but within minutes, rumors became derisive, and the underlying racism became more overt by the moment. The billionaires were unaware, however, that she had the ability to undo everything they had, accomplished with a single choice. And they would never forget the way the tables turned that evening under the crystal chandeliers. It was supposed to be a perfect evening. A celebration of strength, legacy, and the beginning of a billion-dollar collaboration between a pioneering tech company run by a woman named Maya Johnson and one of America's oldest business dynasties, the Whitmores. Maya wasn't your average executive. She represented tenacity. She was exposed to the harshness of systemic racism from an early age because she was born into a working-class family. She was dismissed by competitors, undervalued by colleagues, and questioned by teachers. Maya made her business a worldwide force with her intelligence, self-control, and unquenchable fire. She had been approached for a joint venture by the Whitmores, who were well known for their enormous banking and real estate empire. The state-of-the-art technology of her company promised to double their wealth. She saw it as an opportunity to reshape the financial industry's future by combining inclusivity and innovation. The ballroom of the mansion was sparkling with champagne, chandeliers, and marble floors. Visitors from the top echelons of entertainment, business, and politics freely mixed. However, there was a lot of implicit prejudice in the air beneath. The endearing smiles. Maya, a black woman who dared to sit at the same table where wealth had been inherited for centuries, was still seen as an outsider by many in that room. She drew looks of judgment rather than admiration as she walked in wearing a sleek black dress. Quiet jokes were told, subtle enough to be concealed by manners, but cruel enough to cause pain. But Maya remained calm. She was aware that the people watching her weren't merely making fun of her. They were putting her strength to the test. They were unaware that she was solely responsible for the billion-dollar deal's future. On the outside, the evening developed with elegance, but on the inside, animosity simmered. It started out as whispered remarks. "She has no place here." How fortunate she must have been. An invitation to a charity. Cloaked in politeness, each comment was delivered with knife sharpness. The introductions followed, with gritted teeth. The Whitmore sons, the dynasty's heirs, grinned at Maya. Their remarks were anything but flattering, and they were brimming with conceit. "You've performed admirably considering your background. Considering where you started, your accomplishments are impressive." They spoke in a condescending tone, as if her accomplishments were an accident rather than the product of years of hard work. Maya answered coolly. She had suffered more. But then there was more laughter. One of the guests joked that Maya's presence gave the event more diversity points, and a toast was made. She should be grateful for being accepted into old money society, according to another. The audience laughed. It was harmless humor to them. It served as a reminder to her that despite her accomplishments, discrimination still aimed to undermine her. Maya, however, did not recoil. They were unknowingly writing their demise with every word, smirk, and look. Maya was standing next to the Whitmore patriarch when the presentation, which featured the alleged partnership of the century, started. The large screen was illuminated by projections and slides of numbers. The estimated revenue is billions, dominance in markets worldwide, an unstoppable future. But while she listened, Maya's thoughts reenacted the taunts from the evening, the casual brutality, the tone of mockery. Perceiving success as a sign of acceptance, she considered all the young black girls who were observing her. She came to the realization that she would never be accepted. They had to claim it. When the deal was announced, the audience cheered. The cameras flashed, Journalists scrawled notes. However, a storm was building beneath Maya's serene smile. The Whitmores thought they had her signature. She was desperate for their approval, they thought. They had the wrong idea. Maya moved forward to the podium as the cheers subsided. The room fell silent, anticipating a well-crafted expression of appreciation. Rather, she stopped, allowing the quiet to linger until even the self-assured Whitmore heirs began to tremble. Despite her calm demeanor, she spoke with conviction. She talked about the goals her business stood for, the strides she had made, and the challenges she had surmounted. Her voice then became piercing. She spoke to the rumors, the jeers, and the subtle but scathing racism she experienced that night. She remarked, "You invited me here as a partner. However, your mockery of me demonstrates that you never considered me to be on an equal footing. To be clear, you do not grant me equality. I already have it." The room was filled with gasps. People's faces went white. Then Maya did the unimaginable and declared she was leaving. What about the billion-dollar agreement? Canceled, with immediate effect. The Whitmores froze in shock. In the middle of a sentence, reporters' pens stopped. Investors let out a gasp. In a matter of seconds, a dynasty that prided itself on its dominance and power was degraded in front of the world. There was no applause, only silence. With a few measured words, the very woman they ridiculed had just destroyed the biggest chance for their empire. The fallout was seismic. The headlines, "Tech mogul walks away from 1B deal over." Racism were all over the news media. Within hours, the Whitmore empire's stock fell, but Maya's business experienced an unheard-of spike in support. Social media went wild. Her story was told by young women of color, who referred to her as a hero. Her bravery was praised by activists. Industry leaders acknowledged that she had permanently altered the discourse. What transpired in that ballroom became a worldwide symbol of dignity over wealth, not just one transaction. The Whitmores' humiliation spread more quickly than damage control could stop it. Once concealed by their wealth, their conceit was exposed for everyone to see. They had undervalued a woman whose heart was filled with strength and struggle from generations past. Maya, on the other hand, left the mansion in triumph rather than defeat. She had gained respect, admiration, and the opportunity to motivate millions of people who had been told they didn't belong. She had lost nothing. In the weeks that followed, she made use of her position to advocate for equal access to opportunities, funding for Black entrepreneurs, and diversity in boardrooms. Her message was straightforward but unwavering. Achievement devoid of honor is failure. Eventually, the Whitmores made an effort to rebuild, but the damage was irreparable. Once untouchable, their empire was irreparably weakened, not by competitors or markets, but by their own discrimination. Thus, the tale of that night continues to serve as a warning. Authority without deference is a myth. What would you have done then if you had been in Maya's shoes? Would you have walked away to demonstrate the value of dignity or remained silent for the sake of billions?